know the feeling. You're driving along, maybe listening to some music, everything's just flowing. And then, out of nowhere, the whole world in front of you just seems to hit a wall. That sudden slowdown, it's more than just annoying. It's a moment packed with danger. So let's break down what's really going on and why it's so critical to get it right.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? That heart in your throat feeling. 1 second, you've got open road, and the next, it's a solid wall of red. This is that exact moment where a totally normal drive can become a really serious accident in literally the blink of an eye. So what's actually happening in those few critical seconds? Well, it's not just about one car stopping. It's a whole cascade of risks that just unfolds instantly. Let's dig into the most common hazards that pop up.
Okay, the most obvious one, of course, is the rear-end collision. But look how one thing just leads to another. The slowdown causes frustration, right? That frustration leads to people making risky, sudden lane changes. Then people get bored in the stop and go, so they get distracted by their phones. And for some, that frustration boils over into actual road rage. It's like a domino effect of danger.
Now check this out. Just half a second, that's all it takes. Half a second of being slow to react can be the difference between a safe stop and a major crash, especially when you're at highway speeds. I mean, think about it. At 60 miles an hour, your car travels 88 feet every single second. A half-second delay means you've already covered over 40 feet before you even start braking. It's kind of mind-blowing. All right, so we've talked about the immediate dangers, but to really get a handle on this, we need to zoom out. Why does traffic grind to a halt in the first place? You know, the causes are often way more complex and weird than you might think. And this right here is one of the most fascinating reasons. It's not always a big crash. Sometimes it's just one person who taps their brakes for no good reason. That one little action creates this ripple, this shockwave that travels backward through traffic. It gets worse and worse until, miles behind that first car, traffic is at a dead stop. They call it a traffic echo or a ghost traffic jam, all from one little tap. And as you can see here, the causes are all over the map. You've got your usual suspects, right? Rush hour, accidents, construction. But then you have these subtle things. Bad weather, of course, but also something as simple as sun glare making it hard to see. And look at driver behavior. So often, we are the problem, from slowing down to stare at an accident to just being distracted. So with all these dangers and causes flying around, we've had to develop systems to try and manage the flow. So let's look at how the system responds, starting with some of the most basic rules of the road, and, why they were designed that way in the first place. We all hear slower traffic keep right, but this really shows you why it's not just about being polite. It's a core safety principle. When you sort traffic by speed, you dramatically minimize those dangerous speed differences between cars in different lanes. And it just means fewer people have to make those risky lane changes. It just creates a more predictable, smoother, and safer flow for everybody. Now, this might sound a little backward, right? We're always told not to speed, but can you actually get a ticket for driving too slow? Well, the answer might surprise you. It's yes, absolutely. So here's the key. It's all about context. If you're crawling along on a clear, sunny highway, forcing a line of cars to slam on their brakes and swerve around you, you're impeding traffic. You're creating a hazard. You've become an unpredictable obstacle. And this is especially true if you're doing it in the left lane, the passing lane. Now, obviously, in a blizzard or a construction zone, slow is safe, but on a clear day, blocking the flow is both dangerous and illegal. Okay, so we have rules for drivers, but what about the roads themselves? This is where this really cool concept from urban planning comes into play called traffic calming. It's all about designing our environment to naturally and kind of gently encourage safer driving. So here's the main idea. Instead of just relying on signs and police to enforce speed limits, traffic calming uses physical changes to the road itself to make drivers want to slow down, almost instinctively. And notice that key phrase, for all road users. This is about making streets safe for people, not just for moving cars as fast as possible. And I bet you've seen a lot of these around your own town. Speed humps are obvious, but things like chicanes, those are those little S-curves they add to a straight road, they're designed to break up long straightaways where people tend to floor it. Or a road diet, where they might take a 4-lane road and turn it into 2 lanes with a bike lane. It physically and visually narrows the road, which sends a signal to your brain to slow down. And the benefits are huge. They go way beyond just slowing down cars. I mean, safer streets lead to fewer accidents, and the accidents that do happen are less severe. They're also quieter, with less pollution. And when people feel safe, guess what? They're more likely to walk or bike, which is amazing for public health. And all that extra foot traffic, it's a fantastic boost for local shops and restaurants. All right, we've looked at the dangers, the big picture causes, the rules, the road design. Now, let's bring it all back to the single most important element in this whole equation: you, the driver. How can you actively protect yourself when that traffic starts to slow down? This slide right here, this is everything. The goal is to shift from being a reactive driver, someone who just responds when trouble is already happening, to being a proactive driver, someone who sees it coming and is already prepared. A reactive driver just stares at the bumper right in front of them. A proactive driver is already scanning 4 cars ahead, looking for that first little glimmer of brake lights. So, what's the most practical, hands-on tool for a proactive driver? It's the 2-second rule. This is your personal buffer zone. It's simple. Pick a fixed object up ahead, like a sign or a tree. When the car in front of you passes it, you start counting. 1001, 1002. If you pass that same object before you finish counting, you are way too close. And remember, that's the minimum for perfect weather. If it's raining or dark, you need to stretch that out to 4, maybe even 5 seconds. So this all comes together in a really simple 3-part playbook. First, it starts with your eyes. Train yourself to look through the car in front of you, scanning for brake lights deep in the pack. Second, always know what's around you. Scan your mirrors, know where your open spaces are. Always have an escape route before you need one. And finally, control your space using that 2-second rule. It's not just a suggestion, it's the physical space that gives you time to react. Putting these 3 things together is what turns you from just a passenger in traffic into the person who's truly in control. And really, that's the question we should end on. Being a proactive driver isn't some special trick. It's a completely different way of seeing the road. So the next time you get behind the wheel, ask yourself this. Because seeing that whole picture, that's what keeps you and everyone around you safe when that sea of red brake lights suddenly appears out of nowhere.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.